Welcome to Psych IQ, your trusted source for exploring the intricacies of human psychology and relationships. In today's discussion, we delve into the complex and often challenging topic of narcissism. How do you know if you're in a relationship with a narcissist? Join us as we uncover the telltale signs and red flags that may indicate narcissistic behavior in a partner. Understanding these signs can empower you to navigate relationships more effectively and prioritize your emotional well-being. Let's dive in. 1. Grandiose sense of self-importance. One of the hallmark traits of narcissism is a grandiose sense of self-importance. Narcissists often believe they are superior to others, boasting about their achievements, talents, or status. They seek admiration and validation from others, constantly craving attention and praise to fuel their inflated ego. A telltale sign of narcissism is a grandiose sense of self-importance. Narcissists harbor an exaggerated belief in their own superiority, often viewing themselves as special, unique, or exceptional compared to others. This inflated self-view permeates every aspect of their lives, from their career achievements to their personal relationships. In social settings, narcissists crave attention and admiration, seeking validation and approval from others to affirm their perceived superiority. They may engage in self-aggrandizing behavior, such as boasting about their accomplishments, talents, or possessions, in an attempt to garner praise and admiration from those around them. Whether it's dominating conversations with stories of their success or name-dropping to impress others, narcissists go to great lengths to maintain their facade of superiority. This grandiose self-view extends beyond mere confidence or self-assurance. It borders on arrogance and entitlement. Narcissists believe they are entitled to special treatment or privileges due to their perceived superiority, expecting others to defer to their needs and desires without question. They may dismiss or belittle the accomplishments of others, viewing them as inferior or unworthy of recognition compared to their own. In intimate relationships, a narcissistic partner may assert their dominance or superiority in subtle ways, such as controlling decision-making processes, dismissing their partner's opinions or feelings, or expecting constant admiration and validation. Their need for validation may manifest as jealousy or possessiveness, as they seek to maintain their status as the center of attention in their partner's life. Despite their outward confidence and bravado, narcissists often harbor deep-seated insecurities and fragile self-esteem beneath the surface. Their grandiose facade serves as a defense mechanism to mask their underlying feelings of inadequacy or vulnerability. By projecting an image of superiority and invincibility, narcissists attempt to shield themselves from criticism or rejection, fearing that any perceived flaw or failure will shatter their carefully constructed illusion of perfection. It's essential to recognize that a grandiose sense of self-importance is not merely a sign of confidence or self-assurance, it's a core feature of narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. While occasional feelings of pride or self-confidence are normal and healthy, persistent grandiosity coupled with a lack of empathy and disregard for others' feelings are red flags indicative of narcissistic behavior. In summary, a grandiose sense of self-importance is a defining characteristic of narcissism, characterized by an exaggerated belief in one's own superiority and entitlement. Narcissists crave attention and admiration, seeking validation and approval from others to maintain their fragile self-esteem. Recognizing this trait can be the first step in identifying narcissistic behavior in yourself or your partner and taking proactive steps to address it in the context of your relationships. 2. Lack of empathy. Empathy is essential for healthy relationships, yet narcissists often lack this crucial quality. They struggle to empathize with others' feelings or experiences, viewing relationships as transactional, rather than based on genuine emotional connection. Their inability to understand or validate others' emotions can lead to emotional neglect or manipulation within the relationship. Another prominent trait of narcissism is a profound lack of empathy. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, is a fundamental component of healthy interpersonal relationships. However, narcissists struggle to empathize with the emotions or experiences of others, viewing relationships through a self-centered lens rather than considering the perspectives of those around them. For narcissists, empathy is a foreign concept. They have difficulty recognizing or acknowledging the emotions of others, let alone responding to them with compassion or understanding. Instead, they prioritize their own needs, desires, and experiences above all else, viewing others as mere extensions of themselves or objects to be manipulated for their own benefit. In social interactions, narcissists may display a superficial charm or charisma that masks their lack of genuine empathy. They may mimic appropriate emotional responses or engage in performative acts of kindness to maintain the illusion of empathy. But these behaviors are often shallow and insincere, serving their own agenda rather than fostering authentic connection or understanding. In intimate relationships, a lack of empathy can have devastating consequences, as narcissists fail to recognize or respond to their partner's emotional needs or experiences. They may dismiss or invalidate their partner's feelings, gaslighting them into believing that their emotions are irrational or unwarranted. Alternatively, they may exploit their partner's vulnerabilities for their own gain, manipulating their emotions to maintain control or dominance in the relationship. Narcissists may also exhibit a callous disregard for the well-being of others, exploiting their empathy or generosity for personal gain without remorse or guilt. They may engage in behaviors that cause harm or distress to others, such as lying, cheating, or manipulating, without considering the impact of their actions on those around them. Their lack of empathy allows them to justify their behavior as necessary for their own self-interest, regardless of the consequences for others. Behind their facade of confidence and self-assurance, narcissists often harbor deep-seated insecurities and emotional wounds that contribute to their lack of empathy. Their inability to empathize with others may stem from their own unresolved trauma or feelings of inadequacy, leading them to prioritize self-preservation over genuine connection or intimacy with others. It's important to recognize that a lack of empathy is not merely a personality quirk. It's a core feature of narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. While occasional lapses in empathy are normal and human, persistent disregard for the emotions or experiences of others, coupled with a pattern of exploitative or manipulative behavior, are red flags indicative of narcissistic behavior. In summary, a lack of empathy is a defining characteristic of narcissism, characterized by an inability to recognize or respond to the emotions of others with compassion or understanding. Narcissists prioritize their own needs and desires above all else, viewing relationships through a self-centered lens that disregards the perspectives and experiences of those around them. Recognizing this trait can be the first step in identifying narcissistic behavior in yourself or your partner and taking proactive steps to address it in the context of your relationships. 3. Excessive need for admiration. Narcissists crave constant admiration and validation from others to feed their fragile self-esteem. They may seek attention through grand gestures, flaunting their achievements, or seeking approval from peers. Their insatiable need for admiration can overshadow genuine connection and intimacy in the relationship, leaving their partner feeling neglected or unimportant. An excessive need for admiration is another hallmark trait of narcissism. Narcissists crave constant validation, praise, and attention from others to bolster their fragile self-esteem and maintain their inflated sense of self-importance. This insatiable desire for admiration drives their behavior in both social and intimate contexts, often overshadowing genuine connection and empathy in their relationships. In social settings, narcissists seek to be the center of attention, craving admiration and validation from those around them. They may dominate conversations, boast about their accomplishments, or engage in attention-seeking behaviors to garner praise and admiration. Whether it's flaunting their possessions, name-dropping to impress others, or engaging in grandiose displays of generosity, narcissists go to great lengths to maintain their facade of superiority and garner admiration from their peers. This excessive need for admiration extends into intimate relationships, where narcissists may demand constant attention and validation from their partner. They expect their partner to shower them with praise and adulation, validating their sense of superiority and importance at every turn. Any perceived slight or criticism is met with defensiveness or hostility, as narcissists cannot tolerate anything less than unwavering admiration and approval from their partner. Narcissists may also use manipulation tactics to elicit admiration from their partner, such as love bombing or idealization in the early stages of the relationship. They may shower their partner with gifts, compliments, and affection to win their admiration and affection, only to withdraw or withhold affection once they feel secure in their partner's devotion. This push-pull dynamic keeps their partner constantly seeking their approval and validation, reinforcing the narcissist's sense of power and control in the relationship. Behind their outward bravado and confidence, narcissists often harbor deep-seated insecurities and self-doubt that drive their excessive need for admiration. Their constant quest for validation is a misguided attempt to fill the inner void created by their fragile self-esteem, seeking external sources of affirmation to compensate for their own perceived shortcomings or inadequacies. It's important to recognize that an excessive need for admiration is not merely a sign of confidence or self-assurance. It's a core feature of Narcissistic Personality Disorder, NPD. While it's normal to desire praise and validation from others, persistent demands for admiration at the expense of genuine connection or empathy are red flags indicative of narcissistic behavior. In summary, an excessive need for admiration is a defining characteristic of narcissism, characterized by a relentless quest for validation, praise, and attention from others. Narcissists prioritize their own need for admiration above all else, seeking external sources of validation to bolster their fragile self-esteem and maintain their inflated sense of self-importance. Recognizing this trait can be the first step in identifying narcissistic behavior in yourself or your partner, and taking proactive steps to address it in the context of your relationships. 4. Sense of entitlement. Narcissists often have a sense of entitlement, believing they deserve special treatment or privileges without putting in the necessary effort. They may expect their partner to cater to their every need or desire, dismissing their partner's boundaries or autonomy. This sense of entitlement can lead to feelings of resentment or exploitation within the relationship. A sense of entitlement is a defining characteristic of narcissism, manifesting as a belief that one is inherently deserving of special treatment, privileges, or recognition without regard for the feelings or needs of others. Narcissists view themselves as superior beings, entitled to receive preferential treatment or deference from those around them simply by virtue of their perceived superiority. In social settings, narcissists may expect to be the center of attention, believing that others should cater to their needs and desires at all times. They may demand special treatment or accommodations, expressing indignation or frustration when their expectations are not met. Their sense of entitlement can lead to conflicts or friction in social interactions as they prioritize their own needs above the comfort or well-being of others. In intimate relationships, a sense of entitlement can have more insidious consequences, as narcissists may expect their partner to fulfill their every whim or desire without question. They may disregard their partner's boundaries or autonomy, viewing their needs and feelings as secondary to their own. This sense of entitlement can manifest in controlling behaviors, manipulation tactics, or emotional abuse, as narcissists seek to maintain dominance and control in the relationship at all costs. Narcissists may also exploit their partner's resources or emotional labor without gratitude or reciprocity, taking advantage of their generosity or kindness for their own gain. They may expect their partner to meet their financial needs, cater to their emotional demands, or sacrifice their own needs or desires to accommodate the narcissist's sense of entitlement. Any perceived failure to meet their expectations is met with anger, resentment, or disdain, as narcissists struggle to accept anything less than total compliance from their partner. Behind their outward facade of confidence and entitlement, narcissists often harbor deep-seated insecurities and fears of abandonment that drive their sense of entitlement. Their need for control and validation stems from a fear of vulnerability or rejection, leading them to assert their dominance and superiority over others as a means of self-protection. It's important to recognize that a sense of entitlement is not merely a sign of confidence or assertiveness. It's a core feature of Narcissistic Personality Disorder, NPD. While it's normal to have reasonable expectations in relationships, persistent demands for special treatment or deference at the expense of others' well-being are red flags indicative of narcissistic behavior. 5. Manipulative behavior. Manipulation is a common tactic used by narcissists to control or influence their partner's thoughts, emotions, or behaviors. They may use gaslighting, guilt-tripping, or manipulation tactics to undermine their partner's confidence or independence. This manipulative behavior can erode trust and destabilize the relationship over time. Manipulative behavior is a common tactic employed by narcissists to control, influence, or exploit others for their own gain. Narcissists are skilled manipulators who use a variety of tactics to achieve their goals, whether it's to maintain dominance in a relationship, extract resources from others, or preserve their fragile self-esteem. Recognizing these manipulative tactics is crucial for identifying narcissistic behavior and protecting oneself from emotional harm in relationships. One of the most common manipulation tactics used by narcissists is gaslighting. Gaslighting involves undermining the victim's perception of reality, causing them to doubt their own thoughts, feelings, and memories. Narcissists may deny or distort the truth, minimize their harmful actions, or blame the victim for their own mistreatment, causing the victim to question their sanity or perception of events. Gaslighting is a powerful tool for maintaining control and dominance in a relationship, as it undermines the victim's confidence and autonomy, making them more susceptible to the narcissist's manipulation. Another manipulation tactic employed by narcissists is guilt-tripping. Guilt-tripping involves using guilt or shame to manipulate others into complying with their demands or desires. Narcissists may play the victim, exaggerating their suffering or hardships to elicit sympathy or guilt from their partner. They may use phrases such as, "If you really loved me, you would," or "You're selfish for not doing what I want," to coerce their partner into meeting their needs or desires, regardless of the impact on the victim's well-being. Narcissists may also engage in love bombing or idealization in the early stages of a relationship to manipulate their partner's emotions and gain their trust. Love bombing involves showering the victim with excessive attention, affection, and praise to create a sense of dependency and loyalty. Narcissists may use flattery, gifts, or romantic gestures to win their partner's affection, creating an intense emotional bond that makes it difficult for the victim to see the narcissist's manipulative behavior. In addition to these tactics, narcissists may use manipulation to exploit their partner's vulnerabilities or insecurities for their own gain. They may use emotional blackmail, threats, or intimidation to coerce their partner into compliance, or they may withhold affection, attention, or resources as punishment for perceived infractions. By exploiting their partner's weaknesses, narcissists maintain control and power in the relationship, ensuring that their needs and desires are prioritized above all else. Behind their manipulative tactics, narcissists often harbor deep-seated insecurities and fears of abandonment that drive their behavior. Their manipulative behavior is a defense mechanism to protect their fragile self-esteem and maintain their sense of control in relationships. By manipulating others, narcissists ensure that their needs and desires are met without having to confront their own vulnerabilities or insecurities. It's important to recognize that manipulative behavior is not merely a sign of assertiveness or charisma. It's a core feature of narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. While occasional manipulation tactics are normal in relationships, persistent manipulation at the expense of others' well-being is a red flag indicative of narcissistic behavior. In summary, manipulative behavior is a defining characteristic of narcissism, characterized by a pattern of controlling, exploitative, or deceitful tactics used to manipulate others for personal gain. Narcissists prioritize their own needs and desires above the well-being of others, using manipulation to maintain control and power in relationships. Recognizing these manipulation tactics can be the first step in identifying narcissistic behavior in yourself or your partner, and taking proactive steps to address it in the context of your relationships. 6. Lack of accountability. Narcissists often struggle to take responsibility for their actions or admit fault, instead deflecting blame onto others or making excuses for their behavior. They may refuse to apologize or acknowledge the impact of their actions on their partner, creating a toxic cycle of manipulation and gaslighting within the relationship. A lack of accountability is a prominent trait often observed in individuals with narcissistic tendencies. Narcissists frequently struggle to take responsibility for their actions, admit fault, or acknowledge the consequences of their behavior. Instead, they employ various tactics to evade accountability, shifting blame onto others, minimizing their own wrongdoing, or outright denying any responsibility. One common tactic used by narcissists to avoid accountability is deflecting blame onto others. When confronted with their actions or mistakes, narcissists may immediately shift the focus away from themselves and onto someone else, portraying themselves as the victim or scapegoat of the situation. They may use excuses, rationalizations, or justifications to justify their behavior and absolve themselves of any culpability, regardless of the evidence or impact of their actions. Another tactic employed by narcissists is gaslighting, a form of psychological manipulation aimed at distorting the victim's perception of reality and undermining their confidence. When confronted with evidence of their wrongdoing, narcissists may deny or distort the truth, manipulate the victim's memories, or invalidate their feelings, causing the victim to question their own sanity or judgment. By casting doubt on the validity of the victim's experiences, narcissists absolve themselves of any accountability and maintain control over the narrative of the situation. Narcissists may also use minimization or trivialization to downplay the severity of their actions or the impact on others. They may dismiss the victim's concerns as overreactions or exaggerations, minimize the significance of their behavior, or portray themselves as misunderstood or unfairly criticized. By trivializing their wrongdoing, narcissists avoid confronting their own shortcomings or facing the consequences of their actions, preserving their fragile self-esteem and self-image as faultless individuals. In addition to deflecting blame and gaslighting, narcissists may employ outright denial as a means of avoiding accountability. When confronted with evidence of their wrongdoing, they may adamantly deny any responsibility, refuse to acknowledge the validity of the victim's concerns, or distort the facts to suit their own narrative. By denying accountability, narcissists absolve themselves of any guilt or remorse for their actions, refusing to accept any culpability for the harm they may have caused. Behind their refusal to be held accountable, narcissists often harbor deep-seated insecurities and fears of failure that drive their behavior. Their lack of accountability is a defense mechanism to protect their fragile self-esteem and maintain their sense of superiority and invincibility. By deflecting blame and denying responsibility, narcissists avoid confronting their own vulnerabilities or acknowledging the impact of their actions on others. It's important to recognize that a lack of accountability is not merely a sign of stubbornness or pride. It's a core feature of narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. While occasional lapses in accountability are normal and human, persistent refusal to accept responsibility for one's actions or the consequences of their behavior is a red flag indicative of narcissistic behavior. In summary, a lack of accountability is a defining characteristic of narcissism, characterized by a pattern of evading responsibility, deflecting blame, and denying wrongdoing. Narcissists prioritize their own self-image and self-preservation above all else, using manipulation tactics to avoid confronting their own shortcomings or acknowledging the impact of their actions on others. Recognizing this trait can be the first step in identifying narcissistic behavior in yourself or your partner and taking proactive steps to address it in the context of your relationships. 7. Boundary violations. Respecting boundaries is crucial in any relationship, but narcissists may disregard or violate their partner's boundaries without remorse. They may invade their partner's privacy, manipulate their emotions, or pressure them into situations they're uncomfortable with. This lack of respect for boundaries can lead to feelings of insecurity or mistrust within the relationship. Boundary violations are a common occurrence in relationships with narcissists, characterized by a lack of respect for their partner's boundaries, autonomy, and emotional well-being. Narcissists often disregard or trample over their partner's boundaries, using manipulation, coercion, or intimidation to exert control and dominance in the relationship. One of the most blatant forms of boundary violation perpetrated by narcissists is the disregard for their partner's physical and emotional boundaries. Narcissists may invade their partner's personal space, touch them in ways that make them uncomfortable, or ignore their explicit requests for space or privacy. They may dismiss their partner's need for autonomy or independence, viewing their boundaries as obstacles to be overcome rather than respected. In addition to physical boundary violations, narcissists may also disregard their partner's emotional boundaries, invalidating their feelings, opinions, or experiences. They may dismiss or minimize their partner's concerns, gaslighting them into believing that their emotions are unwarranted or irrational. Alternatively, they may use guilt-tripping, manipulation, or emotional blackmail to coerce their partner into complying with their wishes, regardless of the impact on their well-being. Narcissists may also exploit their partner's vulnerabilities or insecurities to manipulate or control them, crossing boundaries in pursuit of their own desires or agenda. They may pressure their partner into sexual activities or behaviors they're uncomfortable with, disregard their partner's financial boundaries by exploiting their resources or assets, or manipulate their partner's emotions to maintain control and dominance in the relationship. Another common form of boundary violation perpetrated by narcissists is the invasion of privacy. Narcissists may snoop through their partner's personal belongings, monitor their communications, or invade their online privacy without their consent. They may justify their actions as a means of ensuring their partner's fidelity or loyalty, but in reality, it's a violation of their partner's trust and autonomy, eroding the foundation of the relationship and fostering feelings of insecurity and mistrust. Behind their boundary-violating behaviors, narcissists often harbor deep-seated insecurities and fears of abandonment that drive their need for control and dominance in relationships. Their disregard for their partner's boundaries is a defense mechanism to protect their fragile self-esteem and maintain their sense of superiority and invincibility. By crossing boundaries, narcissists assert their dominance and control over their partner, ensuring that their needs and desires are prioritized above all else. It's important to recognize that boundary violations are not merely signs of assertiveness or boundary testing. They're a core feature of narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. While occasional lapses in boundary setting are normal and human, persistent disregard for their partner's boundaries or autonomy is a red flag indicative of narcissistic behavior. In summary, boundary violations are a defining characteristic of narcissism, characterized by a pattern of disregarding or trampling over their partner's physical, emotional, and privacy boundaries. Narcissists prioritize their own needs and desires above the comfort or well-being of their partner, using manipulation tactics to assert control and dominance in the relationship. Recognizing these boundary-violating behaviors can be the first step in identifying narcissistic behavior in yourself or your partner, and taking proactive steps to address it in the context of your relationships. As we conclude our exploration of narcissism in relationships, we invite you to reflect on your own experiences and observations. Have you noticed any of these signs in your partner or relationship? Remember, recognizing narcissistic behavior is the first step towards creating healthier and more fulfilling relationships. We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Stay tuned for more insightful discussions on human psychology and relationships here on Psych IQ. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for updates on our latest content. Until next time, take care and prioritize your emotional well-being.